The Pump Fake. Thank you guys so much for joining us on the Pump Fake. Jared Bailey, Mike Tanier. It's good to see you, my friend. This week is always a little bit hectic, especially like Monday, Tuesday when legal tampering begins. But this is, I think we've kind of reached the end of like the biggest part of free agency. We can kind of look back and start reflecting. I'm sure it was as hectic for you as it was for me.
It got hectic on Sunday.
Yeah.
Okay. Really, last Thursday it's already a hectic for some of these.
It gets earlier every year, I feel.
Right. I remember I'm old enough to remember like waiting for that Thursday and Bleacher Report saying on Thursday 4:00 be ready, and all of us getting caught by surprise when everything started happening on the Monday. Like that was kind of like before tampering was official. Then we knew for tampering, and now because again there were some guys who were released, there were trades. I'm trying to like catch my breath on Sunday evening. And like my phone is blowing up with this information. It's like, and it's like FOMO.
Yeah.
I'm not going down there and writing like 6,000 words about the DK Metcalf trade or whatever else was breaking at that point. It's like, it'll still be there for us. And then this week, Monday, Tuesday, beginning of Wednesday was wild. And now we're at Miles Sanders. We're at Brandon Allen. We're at now we're going to circle back to Aaron Rodgers and the Vikings because we haven't mined that territory fully enough.
Oh, that's so funny. So let's talk about at least like the bigger ones, and then we'll kind of branch out from there. I think the biggest question I had, the person that I would least like to be right now in the NFL is CJ Stroud, because I don't know what the hell. The Texans came into this offseason with priority number one. Let's fix our offensive line. How are we going to do that? Let's trade the only one worth a piss. I'm like, okay, sure. Let's trade our all-world left tackle to Washington for, they got, 4 draft picks out of it over the next 2 years, and that's fine. But somehow, I think they've certainly gotten worse up front, and this is the offensive line that allowed the second most sacks in the NFL last year to their quarterback.
Yeah,
and I just don't get the vision here. They just got Ed Ingram, the guard from the Vikings, who is probably worse than Kenyon Green, who he's replacing. I don't know what the vision is for the Texans right now. And if I'm CJ Stroud, I'm sitting here saying, what the hell are you guys doing? Did I do something to piss you off? What are we doing here?
Right. I almost feel like the logic is, we don't want to pay him for his next contract, but we'll look cheap unless he gets injured or stinks. Like if you told me that it was that kind of serial killer supervillain logic, it would make more sense than them explaining to me. Because, they trade Tunsil. And, you can actually sort of debate. It's like, Tunsil had, I think, like 17 penalties last year.
Yeah.
And there were times where he wasn't playing particularly well. He's still their best one. They don't have a replacement for him. They got rid of Shaq Mason. Now, Shaq Mason was on the decline, very much on the decline. Was still better than Green. Was still the better of their 2 guards here. And you're right. They bring in Ingram, who I think got benched in like week 6 or week 7.
Because he allowed so much pressure of the interior on pass downs. So I feel like I said, if CJ Stroud seeing that, he's probably not lighting up.
Right. So it was kind of like, okay, we're getting rid of everybody. All right, so maybe they're wiping the slate clean and they have like a big trade planned, and then they got a guy in the first round. No, now we're actually bringing in actively bad players.
Yeah,
that's the second thing. So he's number one. I wouldn't want to be him in the NFL. I'm not sure I want to be the GM of the Steelers right now.
Omar Khan. Yeah, I don't know what that. By the way, that tells you how little they want Russ to come back. The fact that they're willing to play the Aaron Rodgers waiting game, that I feel like that speaks volumes in and of itself when it comes to, we're okay, Russ. Go to the Browns. We'll see you week 8 or whenever the hell we play you first.
Right. The Browns too. Yeah, we'll see you head to head.
Right. And or the Giants. Yeah, go to the Giants, Russ. Go. But we're okay. We insist. Go. You've earned the right, Russ, to go see what options you have out there. Don't rush it or anything, but don't expect a call from us either. Yeah, then bringing back Mason Rudolph was like the break glass in case of emergency if Aaron Rodgers doesn't sign, because he's a higher end backup. He's been there before and started multiple games there. if something does fall through, then I think they are just going to say, all right, we're going to start Mason Rudolph for the year. We have a bunch of comp picks for 2026, and we'll trade up and get our quarterback in Pittsburgh, because that's where the draft will be next year. So that feels like that's the vision right now.
Yeah, and of course that vision makes perfect sense with trading for DK Metcalf and giving him a $30 million contract. It's like,
yeah, I mean, I think getting as many weapons in there as possible for the future quarterbacks can make sense. It does make me go ahead.
Him and Pickens.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Yes. I think that George Pickens, his days are now numbered in Pittsburgh. He might play this season there, and that's fine. I think he's got at most one season left. And I think that if they find a way to get another, like, if they get like a quality number 2 caliber receiver, I wouldn't be shocked if they just traded him now. Because as soon as I saw the trade, I was like, oh, the Pickens isn't going to be there. There's no way they're going to be able to handle both of those guys.
Right. You have 2 like extreme maintenance vertical threats.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, but you put yourself in this position, and right now your quarterback of the future is either Aaron Rodgers, Mason Rudolph, or Jackson Dart.
Oh,
now, like, that's a huge range of possibilities to say, you know what we need to do here? We need to add more salary, and we need to add more prima donna tendencies, and we had to add another personality into this room. Like, I don't. If you told me, well, we're going to take a chance with Mason Rudolph for a year, and we're gutting things, fine. We're all in, and we're bringing in Metcalf, and we're going to keep him with Pickens, and we're going to try and get Aaron Rodgers, fine. What is this? What is it that we're at right now? You know, that you're going to go, Rudolph's going to be trying to throw bombs to those 2. and you talk about like getting a guy. If they're going to trade Pickens, they better trade Pickens.
Yeah. And
I don't know what the market is right now. Maybe it's pretty high, but they seem like motivated sellers at this point. What are you getting?
I don't know, because like we saw what like someone like Amari Cooper went for a 3 last year. Yeah. Would you get that knowing the fact that you're going to have some maintenance there with Pickens? Is he going to garner more than that? I don't know. Yeah. But there's plenty of teams that would at least take the chance. Like if you're the Washington Commanders and you can get another, like if you can get Terry McLaurin, George Pickens, and Deebo Samuel with Jaden Daniels on a rookie contract, that makes sense to me. The Chargers, I think, are just in desperate need of somebody they just re-signed Mike Williams. Respectfully speaking of Mike Williams, like if like 31-year-old Mike Williams is who you're handing Justin Herbert, being like, come on, make it work. Like, all right, dude, like let's maybe try a little bit harder in terms of the weapons that you give Justin Herbert. So I think the Chargers are another destination that makes sense. Like there would be a market. It's just a matter of how much would you get in return, knowing that organization is going to have to keep him level-headed during games.
Right. And then you put him with Deebo. Like you got this guy who in the wide receiver room has to sort of be alpha doucheball. Or else he's going to or else it's going to be Joker serum time. And like, I didn't risk that. Now, yeah, lost the Chargers. You could do that. He would make sense out there. You notice how the Chargers are like losing guys left and right.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't bring back Joshua Palmer,
cornerback Fulton.
Yeah, Fulton's gone. Joey Bosa's now in Buffalo because they released him. Like it's going to look a little bit different over there. They're a team who's already signed 3 former Steelers this offseason. So George Pickens making it 4 why not? The more the merrier.
They signed Najee. Who else did they sign?
Najee, Mike Williams, who was on the Steelers last year, obviously a former Charger. And then they signed cornerback Dante Jackson.
Okay. Dante Jackson's a pretty good player. I mean, Williams, you told me he was on the Steelers. That's news to me. Lining up with the Jets.
He signs with the Jets. They trade for him ahead of the deadline. In his first game as a Steeler, he has a catch for a touchdown that ends up being the game winner against Washington, and we never hear from him like ever again. Like he's on the team, they just don't do anything with him after that. I don't know what the issue was, but they just nothing at all.
Right, he's probably toast. I mean, that's probably what it boils down to. He's a vertical boundary jumpy guy.
Yeah,
and I guess in a Madden world, 2 vertical jumpy guys, you can make that work.
Yeah.
Well, in the NFL, I don't know. In the modern NFL, not 1974 NFL.
Sure.
How that looks.
Yeah, I agree. I think in terms of teams that are doing a good job, though, I love what the Vikings have done. I think that Kwesi saw what the Eagles were doing. Is like, well, let's do that. Let's just go get a bunch of interior wreckers. Let's go get Jonathan Allen. Let's get Javon Hargrave. Let's really, beef up the interior of this defense and build on what was already a very strong suit for that team.
I agree. I really like it. And they, on the offensive line, they kind of do the same thing. They grab a couple of guys. The Colts are asleep right now. Please, no one wake them. And 2/5 of their offensive line went over because the Vikings' offensive line was not that good, especially in the second half of last year. Even after they benched Ingram, they had problems. But yeah, and then now when I saw those picks, Hargrave, for example, who, remembering him in Philly, was hurt for a lot of his time in San Francisco. And I first heard the number. I think the number was 30 million.
Right.
That's a lot for a guy who's pretty much an injury case. And then it comes out it's about 14.5 million.
Of course, like as soon as these things get announced, all these insiders want to please the agents and be like, well, actually, it's worth up to $900 billion. So if you could throw that in there, that would be great. And really, it's just like got like 9 void years. It's worth like the minimum wage salary in Rhode Island. It's like, oh my god, all right, Jesus.
And this one was pretty extreme because it's only a 2-year deal. It's simple.
Yeah.
Usually a 2-year deal, you can only put so much fluff on it, but this thing is all icing, and then there's a little cake in there. So Wesley's doing it. He's bringing these guys in. I think the Fry's contract is bigger and more robust. But a lot of them, it's like, yeah, this is kind of a 1-year commitment, but then we have a second year for you. Go Jonathan Allen, be the guy that we saw up until last year when you were hurt. Get out there with these interior linemen and protect JJ.
Right.
And keep us. I always like when you're making the aggressive move, to simultaneously, maybe you jump to the Super Bowl, but at the very least, you prevent the backslide when you were the surprise team.
Yeah. What are they? I don't understand like the Rodgers stuff. You brought it up a minute earlier. Why? Like, what are you doing there?
What is anyone doing? But what are the Vikings especially doing? Who could go out there? We're going to commit to JJ McCarthy.
You just drafted him in the first round. Like, yeah, throw him out there.
Yeah. And get old guy, go get Flacco, like if that's what you just need a guy.
I agree. Yeah. I think that if you're worried about JJ's timeline, then just have like a quick stopgap, reliable veteran, not, a guy in Aaron Rodgers who, if you bring him in, well, he's not just going to start for 3 weeks and then you're going to turn it over to JJ. Like Flacco's the perfect guy for that. Where you just bring him in, he'll play well for a couple of games, maybe have a down week, and then week 4, week 5, all right, JJ, get in there.
JJ's ready, right? So I don't get that. I don't know how serious it is because the way these things are being talked about. I was on the Discord with the FO people, and it was like, the Vikings are making up their mind whether or not they really want Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers is giving them their space. Like, no, Aaron Rodgers is unemployed. He is not giving anyone his space. He is waiting for a phone call. He is not sitting there saying, "Hey, you guys." That's like me, Right now, I'm giving Margot Robbie her space to the side. Stop by the house tonight and have a couple glasses. So I'm giving her space. No. That is not how this works. But all of these, and that's the Diana Rossini report, and she yesterday saying, well, the Steelers are, they're giving him his space. This is not how employment works.
Yeah, I never once have I heard something like this where it's multiple teams, none of which employ this current player, are like, yeah, we'll just let him be for a little bit, and we'll get back to. We'll wait for him to get back to us when he's ready, whatever.
Right, and if this literally was a Tom Brady type of guy, because I mean, in years past, way back, I mean, the free agents used to do tours from city to city and do interviews and have steaks and caviar or whatever he was with the coaches and all, and then you would have all during this week, like Peyton Manning was a great example way back in 2011. Peyton Manning's in Miami right now. Are they going to let him leave?
I was going to say, didn't the Cardinals put up like a billboard for him downtown at the time?
Yes, there was all kind of wacky stuff, and he was flying around the country, and it's like, oh, they're waiting at the airport, like all the Denver media.
Yeah,
but part of it is it was also very structured and closed-ended. Like he was going to make a decision at some point of this on some timeline, and you knew why the decision wasn't being made is because he is going to go there and hear a sales pitch directly from John Elway. He's going to hear a sales pitch directly from Stephen Ross and Shakira or whoever he was talking to down there. Not just, we're not sure if they're interested, and we're not sure if we're interested, and we're not sure if they've communicated, but everyone's giving everyone their space. That's not a job search. That's not a headhunting. That's idle chit chat. That's what that is. That's rumors.
I'm trying to think of like a real world example. This would be like if like somebody went on LinkedIn and it was like applying for like some copy editor job, and it was like, hey, I'm interested in this job. You're like, oh yeah, we could be interested in you. And then like a week goes by, hey, still interested? Yeah, but we'll talk soon whenever you're ready. And I was like, actually, I've got stuff to do today. How about maybe another time? And it just back and forth like that.
Right. No deadlines. It's not like we have a draft coming up and like we have to
right.
whether we get a quarterback or like we just put Mason Rudolph in the director's chair of this team.
Yeah.
But you take your time, and maybe you want to go to this other team, the Vikings, where you might in week 4 be kneecapped by their star second-year player.
Yeah.
Whereas here you're going to be the starter over Mason Rudolph in perpetuity until we get sick of you or you get us fired. Like, that shouldn't be a choice on your part if you're Aaron Rodgers. Like, I'm going to the Pittsburgh Steelers, who have two. I mean, the Vikings have great receivers too, but they have no other options instead where your starter. It all smacks of this is just we're all being played. We're all being played for clicks and attention, and Rodgers is out there getting maybe low ball offers or something.
He's walking on a beach wrapped in a blanket, listening to Coldplay or whatever he listens to. What do you think Aaron Rodgers listens to? You think he listens to Coldplay?
He definitely listens to Coldplay. He was into like Christian rock earlier in his career.
Oh God.
He and the long snapper were buddies. I forget who it was. Like
big Skillet fan, Aaron Rodgers.
And they would do like the 2-guitar strummy boy. And I can't imagine he listens to Christian rock anymore.
I can't imagine that either.
The modern template of all this stupid stuff. So Coldplay, some kind of emo from like 15 years ago.
Big Evanescence guy, Aaron Rodgers. I could see that.
Wake me up.
Yeah. I feel like I think he would listen to that song every pregame as like, and picture himself like having that song behind like his highlight tape. That would be funny.
In his mind, is he singing the girl part or the guy part?
I don't know. Maybe that's his journey. It's not mine. It's whatever makes him happy. Let's move on from Aaron Rodgers. The Buffalo Bills signed Joey Bosa.
Yep.
That's interesting. I still think they should be in the market for trying to get Trey Hendrickson because we don't know if Joey Bosa is going to play more than 8 games. They just paid Greg Rousseau in a move where market-wise, paying Greg Rousseau $20 million compared to paying Myles Garrett $40 million, like, okay, that's somewhat of a bargain, just market value and whatnot. But I think that they could still be very beneficial in adding a guy like Trey Hendrickson if they could trade for him.
I thought that they were going to make a move for Tank Lawrence.
That would have made sense.
You can move inside a lot.
Yeah.
And you can put packages together. I get the impression they're done at the edge.
Probably.
In terms of how many resources they can do. Because, again, they re-signed Russo. They bring in Hoyt, who's like your rotational guy.
Larry Ogunjobi as well, they brought in.
Right. And now you've got Bosa, who you're probably going to use on third downs to try and preserve him, and he replaces your Von Miller. But I love everything they've done in terms of the player retention side.
Yeah.
With the Allen extension, Terrell Bernard extension, Rousseau extension, Hamlin extension.
Yeah.
Like, they've managed to hold on to more guys. And you look at the Eagles losing guys. Obviously, the Niners, that's a whole different situation.
Sure.
The Ravens have lost some guys. Like they're fighting attrition in Buffalo really well.
I like what they've done as well, like rewarding their homegrown talent. Now I think James Cook is kind of that next guy that is on deck for that. Whether or not that happens this offseason or not, we'll find out. Hopefully for their sake it does. And yeah, the Allen extension, getting the most guaranteed money in NFL history at $250, $330 million in total. But what the hell would you do with $330 million? I tried piecing that together. I would buy Norway. Like, I would just go, I would just go ham. Like, what? I don't even know what to do.
I could not put together a package of things. It's like, okay, well, I put my children through college and buy a wonderful place in like a beach resort for my wife and I to live. And like buy a 12-string guitar. Like I run out at like maybe 1.5 million.
Right.
Or like say a beach house costs like 4 million or whatever. I run out at 5 million.
Yeah, like I'm a simple person who does not need like too many fun amenities.
No.
I'd have some fun stuff and whatnot. I would buy so much like Batman memorabilia. It's not. I'd buy a Batmobile. I think I'd join Joe Burrow in having a Batmobile.
That would be a good one.
That would be a good one. I think that's the biggest one.
Would you drive
I don't know if they're street legal or not, but I'd try to.
I think the one from the 60s would be street legal.
That one would be fine. Yeah. The Adam West Batmobile, that would be fine. I mean, that's just a convertible with a Bat logo on it.
Modified convertible. And
yeah.
That's iconic. Because otherwise you're driving a tank.
Yeah. I feel like the state of Pennsylvania would frown upon that a little bit.
Oh, I don't know. You're part of Pennsylvania. You might just become a hero. Not
they
a bad
fil- they filmed Dark Knight Rises in Pittsburgh, so
right.
it might be feasible.
It's Heinz Ward running away from the from
Sure is.
yeah,
Sure is.
yeah.
Lovely stuff. Is there a team that has made a lot of moves, or maybe for the worse rather than the better, where you're just like, all right, what's your plan here? For me, it's the Seattle Seahawks. I don't know what their overall plan. Or you trade Geno, that makes sense.
Right.
But why are you bringing in Sam Darnold then? Like, if you're just gonna trade away your quarterback and maybe just try to tank for a year and rebuild, then that's fine. I can get that vision. You trade away DK Metcalf too, that's fine. But then why sign an expensive quarterback and trade away what would be his number one target and release Tyler Lockett? And now you've got Jackson Smith and Jigba, and then Jarrett Bailey and Mike Tanier at your other two receiver spots. I don't understand the vision.
I've been going through a journey with them all week. It's like, because all the transactions, the big three offensive players, it was almost like within 24 hours.
Yeah.
Like, if you were like me and you went and like got lunch and came back, like all three of them are gone. Like, rebuild. I get it. That's fine. They're bringing in Darnold. All right. Well, he's going to be a bridge for them so they can stay competitive for a year. I kind of see it. We're bringing in Tank Lawrence.
Yeah.
That's a 35-year-old defensive player that, like, again, the Bills should be looking for. The Lions should be looking for this guy. And he comes to you guys, which means you probably bid a little higher than that. And you had DaQuan Jones. He didn't have a good year, but you had a younger guy at the position. All right, so I'm very confused at what you're doing. Then they bring in Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and I give up. I just give up. Emotionally, life-wise, I just give up. And it's like, well, this guy, and like I read like 5 Seahawks blogs. Much needed speed now that we got rid of DK Metcalf. Like,
yes. Yeah. I imagine John Schneider's like, well, if you squint, it kind of looks like DK. Like, oh, Jesus. All right, John.
Right. He goes straight really fast. That's just like fucking DK.
That is, Marquez Valdez-Scantling is the Temu version of DK Metcalf. He's like, I can't get the name brand, but I can get this thing from a store in Malaysia for $2.30. I guess that'll do.
Yeah, they ran out of guys in New Orleans last year. Like, they just ran out of humans, and and he had like a couple of really big plays. Like, he had this wild game.
He had like 3 straight games where he had like a 60-yard touchdown each week. You're like, what the hell is MVS doing?
Right. Well, if you throw enough balls in, he'll catch a 60-yarder.
Yeah.
If you have no one else to throw to, and you've got Spencer Rattler going like this, you're going to get some, But I guess Clint Kubiak wanted like a binky guy, and that's your binky guy, Marcus Valdez-Scantling.
I guess. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, so I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what your little brother, the general manager of the Jacksonville Jaguars, is doing.
Little brother, James Gladstone. I was trying to figure out where you were going with that. Like, oh yeah, I guess we're kind of like close to the same age.
Doogie Howser, the general manager.
You know what? That gives me the fact that a 34-year-old, by the way, he looks like he's around my age. He does not look 34. Right. The fact that he can get a GM job, not to, question his, experience in the NFL or anything, but I think that we're like 2 years away from finding out that Ben Solak is the GM of the New York Giants, and I'm ready for it.
I can't hardly wait. All right, put this into practice. What? Anyway, and this young man, when he gives what's the kid's name? Spy Tech Raiders. It's Gladstone.
Yes, James Gladstone.
Yes. And whenever he gives a speech, he speaks in corporate language that like oh my god, like it starts buzzing in my ears and it makes me a little bit nuts. But he's talking about, and he's saying the right things. I'm creating competition with these moves. You look at these moves and it's like, why are these guys creating competition? Why did you bring them in? Why did you pay that much money if you are admitting these guys are not even penciled in to be starters on my team?
Right. I'm getting their transaction list pulled up because I want to know like the entire thing.
It's a jumble, like, because I they lost Evan Ingram, but they brought in other tight ends, which one of them was Johnny Munt.
Oh my goodness, that's a pull.
Patrick McCarry, so you get a start.
Yeah, you get a starting guard. That's good.
They made Jordan Lewis, who's a good slot, the highest paid slot in the league.
Yeah, I don't know if I love that part of the deal, but I understand bringing in Jordan Lewis. You needed somebody else in the secondary.
But here's my thing about that: like, never go out and get the other team's slot.
I agree.
If you change the role, like you twist the role slightly, it's like these guys can go from, oh, he has the best metrics in the league to, oh, he's just getting burnt left and right.
Right. They also, let's see, they bring in Diami Brown. They gave $10 million to Diami Brown.
$10 million for Diami Brown.
I don't love that.
For 2 good games late in the year.
Yeah.
Basically, he caught 360-yard passes.
Yeah, I was gonna say all right. So if Marquez Valdez-Scantling is Timu DK Metcalf, Diami Brown is like Wish.com Marquez Valdez-Scantling. I don't get that at all.
You keep going down the level.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like, here's another vertical guy. I know this one's younger.
Yeah.
So you can say, but like, and what Gladstone said at the combine was that he's sort of merging into who was already there. Like he was so new to the game that he really couldn't. He's like, I can't tell this front office to move to me. I have to move to them, which means this is an old Trent Baalke shopping list.
Yeah.
And it looks like an old Trent Baalke shopping list because these are Baalke binkies.
I'll say this though, because on the other end of that, he cut so many people that Baalke brought in though. So like I don't know, it could be, the truth is somewhere in the middle. I will give him credit because bringing in Patrick McCarr, bringing in Robert Hainsey, like it gives you a little bit better options at center and guard to help in the run game and keep Trevor Lawrence upright. He's been hurt the last 2 years. Try to keep him protected. I think the next objective is finding a complement for Brian Thomas Jr. and the passing game. Obviously, Christian Kirk's no longer there, so I'm holding out hope that the Jaguars get this right.
Well, I mean, I guess he's saying the right things in that he comes in and says, we didn't fill positions with starters. We created competition for positions, which is music to my ears. Because if you start thinking, I mean, that's what the Patriots say. Like, look, we just filled 4 positions. I'm like, yeah, with who?
Yeah.
With who? And my favorite statement is already saying, Milton Williams, I hope you're ready to play more snaps. And I'm like, there's a reason Milton Williams didn't play more snaps. There's a reason he was rotating. Now, Jordan Davis is a good guy to be rotating with.
Sure.
But when you start saying, here's your new role, and it's a lot bigger, it's like there's a reason he didn't have a bigger role in this 3 seasons with the other team.
My immediate thought of that was, like, Milton Williams could be very good and end up panning out for the Patriots, but like there was like a string of time, like back in like the 90s-ish, when Al Davis would just pay the Super Bowl performers that just did incredible and just give them massive contracts. For, like he paid Desmond Howard, he paid Larry Brown, and they just give them massive contracts for like these one performance. Granted, it's in the Super Bowl, but he would just give them a ton of money. Right. That's kind of what that reminded me of.
It was, and it's not as bad as that because that was literally almost like, I never heard of this guy. He got a sack, and now we're paying him. It'd be like Jalix Hunt.
Oh God!
And he's signed for $60 million. So it's not that bad. Milton Williams has been a valuable role player. Yeah. He really came on. Rams regular season game for the Eagles on. He suddenly comes on and he's a demon for the rest of those weeks. So if that's really the guy moving forward, that suddenly in year 4 he had this burst, I think the Patriots did really good there. If they get the guy the Eagles have been rotating for 4 years with Jordan Davis, and there was another guy in there besides Carter. They got a rotation guy.
Mm-hmm.
I
think the other moves they've made, though, I mean, Carlton Davis, that's a great signing. I think that Morgan Moses bringing in a veteran tackle makes sense. Robert Spillane is a good linebacker. So, they had a ton of money. We figured that they were going to spend some of it, and they've done exactly that.
Yeah.
I think overall, it's been a big positive for them. And similar to Jacksonville, now they need to focus on getting like a go-to target for Drake May to throw the ball to. Who that may be, we'll find out. I thought that they would maybe be a team in on DK Metcalf. Obviously, that didn't happen. Maybe they try to get Cooper Kupp. It looks like he's down to 2 teams, Seattle or Dallas. By the way, Seattle, again, what are you doing? Like, either be bad or be good.
I'm not keeping up with the breathless Cooper Kupp signing information.
No, that's gone on for like a while.
For Seattle, I mean, I just quit on Seattle forever. I just don't even want to think about that. And Dallas is doing what Dallas does with this, where they don't really know what they want, and all their information's 3 years out of date, and that's why they're going after Kenneth Murray and Javonte Williams. It's like, well, man, if he's the guy he was coming out of college, it's like he tore his knee in half.
Yeah.
And he's not been that guy anymore. Sorry. But I was talking with Aaron obviously about the Patriots, and it's like, well, they spent a bunch of money and they got a bunch of starters, and it's like, well, yes. And when you have $100 million and 4 wins, you can get better in free agency. I think what Ben Volin wrote in the Boston Globe after that big first day, it's like Patriots spent a lot of money, still don't have a left tackle or a wide receiver 1.
Yeah,
and like that's it. And who else were they in on? It was DK, not T Higgins, because people knew that was vaporware.
I feel like there's rumors that they would trade for AJ Brown just because Raves used to coach him, but I don't know if there's any validity to that.
Right, the Eagles weren't necessarily looking to make that deal right now.
Right.
What are you offering? Give us the rights to Travis Hunter or whatever. Chris Godwin, they were interested.
Chris Godwin, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Right. And it's like, guess what the Buccaneers do to all the stars? They repay them.
Yeah.
Every time. So,
I hear you on that. The 49ers, we talked about the Eagles losing a lot of people. The 49ers are like cutting everybody and just blowing this thing up. They signed Mac Jones, and I think that says, I think their backup situation over the past few years has said a lot of how they feel about Purdy internally, where, all right, we're going to have Sam Darnold behind you. We're going to have Josh Dobbs behind you. Now we're going to bring in Mac Jones, who we loved pre-draft, behind you. And I'm going to write about this for USA Today, so I'm kind of giving away the lead here. Yeah. But if there's any coach in the NFL, any organization in the NFL who can look at their quarterback and say, look, dude, we won with Jimmy Garoppolo. We won with you. We'll win with someone else. Take our deal. Or you can go to Tennessee and get a ton of money, and that's great. Good for you. We'll wish you well, but we have a good feeling we know how that's going to end.
Yeah, not with the guys they've got now, though.
Yes.
Right. Here's my theory. They're cutting loose all these guys. They know they're doing a little bit of a soft reboot. The real politic of NFL quarterbacks is you can't really let Purdy go.
Mm-hmm.
And playing hardball with him is probably not really going to work out. I think that the contract they're going to offer him is going to be front loaded.
That makes sense.
Right. So we're saving a bunch of money now and next year so we can give you big salaries up front. And then in 2 years, if we're like, you know what? Mac Jones could have done an equal job to you, and you have to move on from him. They won't have these huge cap hits.
Yeah.
They will have already paid him huge chunks of it. So it's the opposite of your regular quarterback contract.
Mm-hmm.
We got to make the next 2 years affordable so that we can compete, and then we won't be able to cut you in 3 years. It's like, we can make it we can pay it now.
We'll pay it now, yeah.
Take the money up front. Tons of money now, and make sure you produce, because we can cut you for only X amount of hit in 2027. That's what I think they're doing. That's how they did Garoppolo.
Yeah, I love the thought of that. It was like, hey, we'll give you a ton of money now. It'll be great. Your number one receiver is going to be Ricky Pearsall. It'll be great. It'll be awesome. Take all the money now. We're going to trade away Brandon Ayuk, but everything's going to be awesome. It's we'll give
right.
Yeah.
Vince McMahon. Yeah. Trent Williams is old. We let his backup go. You have no left tackle if anything happens.
Oh, that was funny. I liked that. That was good.
Yeah. Kyle Juszczyk's gone.
Yeah. Kyle Juszczyk, we're gonna cut him. Yeah. I gotta say though, how big a deal is that really? I think people are making a little bit bigger deal of Kyle Juszczyk. 3 teams use fullbacks. Who cares?
You're saying that the internet responds differently to a white guy's fame and fortune than a black guy's? We have to do a Cooper Kupp watch here, Well,
we did the same thing with Odell Beckham Jr. for 3 straight years, and that got really annoying.
Yes.
So I hope that Cooper Kupp's good, but yeah, I think we've done all we can and expunged the Cooper Kupp watch.
And Juszczyk did not officially sign with the Steelers because you don't want Arthur Smith to get a man like that into his.
Oh, he's gonna get 8 targets a game.
He's going to throw 8 targets a game. He's going to be doing option fullback T formation. Kyle Juszczyk has just thrown another option pass to Donnell.
He's going to sign his contract. Art's going to bust into Mike Tomlin's office and be like, I got my quarterback. We're like, well, all right. Don't worry. I've got ideas, Mike.
Wing T. You're familiar with that?
You remember a few years ago when I had Jonnu Smith throwing to Russell Gage while Kyle Pitts blocked? Yeah, I've got some ideas here. Jesus. All right. Oh, man. That's great, though.
At the goal line.
Yeah, the goal line. I think that's a hilarious.
When Bijan Robinson is on your roster.
Yes. You got Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts. Now I'm going to have Jonnu Smith throw it to my 9th receiver. Cordero Patterson touches forever.
Oh, God. Still on your roster.
I hope I don't have to deal with that too much this coming year, but I'm just accepting the fate
They
already
tendered
as we
Warren,
go.
so you got Warren.
Got Jalen Warren, signed Kenneth Gainwell,
This
and
is
then
well,
then
they're
they'll,
going.
they'll draft a running back as well.
I mean, this was, and there's a lot of good running backs. Like
Yeah,
I was looking at teams that would really benefit from Janty, and I thought the Steelers would actually really benefit from Janty. Just like I think the Broncos and the Chargers would really benefit from Janty. I mean, he won't be there for them unless everyone
yeah.
really looks at themselves like we're not in a position to have our Saquon. We're not really there yet, so we're going to let this guy pass. There's no way that like 15 teams do that.
I agree. And I think it would be smart of them to do it. Like, I don't know, like if he goes in the top 10, like, all right, what are the Panthers going to do with Ashton Genty? Like, really? It's
Right.
just going to be it's going to be Christian McCaffrey all over again, where you end up trading him to a team that's great and adds an extra piece to win a Super Bowl. Like, all right.
Right. And people are saying the Cowboys, but that you guys are thinking about like the 4 years ago Cowboys. Right?
Yes. Yes.
And now it's this random team that like acts sort of like it's a AAA affiliate for the real teams.
Do you believe in the what the Jets are doing right now? Are you on the Fields train? I know you're not, but that's why I'm leading into this.
I mean, I found like the tone of how everyone wrote about the Fields like almost like patronizing towards the Jets.
Mm.
And maybe like it's like, well, you see the position the Jets are in, they have this chance to take this guy and really mold him when the pressure's off. It's like, stop, don't bullshit a bullshitter. They just got a stopgap quarterback, and you're giving them kudos. It's like, well, you're moving on from Aaron Rodgers, so this guy's fun. He's not good, but he's fun, and he's fun to think about how he could be good. I mean, I take it you're still in this place where
he's like if the NFL is a movie for me right now, like he's the Jake Gyllenhaal to my Heath Ledger, and I can't quit him. I don't know what I just don't know why Justin Fields, like I love Justin Fields and I hope he's incredibly successful. But yeah, I think going to the Jets, I mean that in and of itself is a risk.
Yeah.
I'd like to say that I think Aaron Glenn was a good hire, but I think a lot of people said the same thing about Robert Saleh. A lot of people said the same thing about Adam Gase. Like until like it's proven, like I'm not gonna bank on their hire panning out.
No one said that about Gase. No one on the earth.
I feel like a few people did.
Well, there's a few people who say anything.
I guess.
I thought at a press conference like this.
Oh no! Yeah, after the press conference, everybody's like, "Oh shit, this isn't gonna be good."
Gase has Peyton Manning as his like hype man.
Yeah.
And so if you're like a stakeholder who has to listen to what Peyton Manning has to say and sort of regurgitate it and do your favors for Peyton Manning, you talked about the brilliance of Adam Gase. So you have a pulse and aren't like beholden to some like higher power out there. You're looking like this dude was out of his mind, mismanaged the absolute crap out of the Dolphins, caused all kinds of internal conflict there, made Ryan Tannehill a crazy person, and then we bring him to New York. And like when you bring these guys to New York, there's an alchemy that takes place that like distills the worst things about you.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happens when you put Fields in that environment. Maybe he just runs around in circles like a Tyco train.
I think that's what the best thing that they can do is just lean into his legs, do a more like give him a little bit more design runs per game, and try to take some deep shots. I mean, he's got a big arm. It's just a matter of that big arm being consistently accurate. It's the same thing that we've said about him since he was drafted. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Hopefully,
right. You just described somebody who, in an Arthur Smith offense, throwing to DK Metcalf and George Pickens might be like good, but
could be fun.
But the coaches there said no.
Yeah. I don't.
Here come the Jets coaches who don't have that infrastructure, but it's tricky because I feel like the amount of like eighth chances for Justin Fields and I see the talent, and I know that like you have these flashes of brilliance, but like the likelihood that you're going to get anything more than Scrambles Magoo keeps going down. And down.
Yeah. And I hear you on that. I push back a little bit more now just because like over the past few years, we've seen like Geno Smith have a resurrection, Sam Darnold have a resurrection, Baker Mayfield have a resurrection. So like, I think I'm just holding on to, if he goes to like the right situation, then we can see him reach that full potential. I don't think it's a top 10 potential, but I think it could be, a middle of the pack starting quarterback potential. Right. But yeah, the further along we go, the less likely that becomes. That's true. We missing anything? Is there anything huge that you had thoughts on that we haven't talked about yet?
There's so much happened.
I know.
There's so much of it is not a thing.
Right.
Because this free agent class, especially in the last minutes, and it's like, okay, Chris Godwin is off this board. Ronnie Stanley is off this board. Zach Bond is off this board.
Mm-hmm.
There were like a wave, and it was like Sunday afternoon.
Like 5 of the top 10 guys were just re-signing with their original teams.
They're re-signing with their original teams, and then you look at it, and it's like, this free agent class is not interesting.
Yeah, it's very thin.
Very thin. And then you were looking at trades. It's like, well, Trade Hendrickson trade isn't likely anytime soon. The Debo trade happens. The Metcalf trade happens. And it's like, there are hundreds and hundreds of like transactions happening, and most of them is like, oh, they got a guard.
Yeah,
they got a guard. And then the cornerbacks, and like the people who I really want to get into, like, well, this guy's a cover 3, this guy's a cover 6. Everybody's in everything. Everybody runs every structure.
Sure.
So, and like, if you're like looking at your class and like the people who write about your team, like the first thing they can say is, well, this guy ranked 35th on the athletics list, and his PFF grade is that such and such.
Yeah.
What they're saying is he's just another guy.
Yeah.
Even those in the industry don't have much of a handle on him. So when I have to write about him, I have to go to PFF and the Athletic and like grab their like prefabricated material and throw it at you.
My favorite thing, I saw a tweet that was like, if somebody gets signed and like the team site refers to them as a former first round pick, that just means that they are absolute dog shit. I was like, yeah, that's pretty accurate.
And Rappaport, and the Cowboys get another former first round pick.
Oh my God. She's like, all right, bro. Did the agent spell everything right when he tweeted that for you? Like, just make sure you double checked the spelling and everything. Like, come on.
That while you're standing in the Starbucks line. Yeah. All exactly right. Make sure George Schultz doesn't hit you with a chair. But yeah, no, and it's like, I'm picturing the Cowboys fan who's sitting there, another first round pick. We can't lose.
Exactly. Yeah. She's like, well, somebody took him in the first round.
Turner, we can't lose.
We didn't even talk about the Kenny Pickett trade to the Cleveland Browns.
Is he their starter?
Dude, I will pray to whatever God makes that happen. I would love nothing more than for the Steelers to play Kenny Pickett twice. That would make me. They can go 2-15. I don't care. Those would be my Super Bowls. I'm in.
A whole season of Kenny Pickett behind sort of a crumbled offensive line because guys have been leaving Cleveland, and like the guys who are left, it's like, well, he's rehabbing his knee or whatever. No Nick Chubb. Who are their receivers? Jerry Judy's their receiver.
Jerry Jeudy. Elijah Moore's a free agent. They drafted a kid
from Cleveland.
Jamari Thrash, who they drafted. Was it last year out of Louisville? Yeah, it's pretty thin at the position.
Pretty thin at every position except Myles Garrett.
Except Myles Garrett's making $40 million, and he believes that they are committed to winning.
Again, for $40 million, you get me say so many things.
Yeah, no, I hear you on that.
So many things.
I hear you. I would love nothing more than for Kenny Pickett to be. By the way, Russell Wilson visiting the Browns too. It would be even funnier if Kenny Pickett goes to the Browns and he's told, yeah, we'll give you a chance to start, and then Russell Wilson for the second straight year comes in and is like, actually,
right.
That doesn't work for me.
Right, that doesn't work for me. And also, whatever my actual quality level is, if you start stumbling, the whole coaching staff's going to turn to me.
Right.
Because they all have on the brain, well, maybe his veteranness will come in and save us
veteranness
from this, and especially in Pickett, because Pickett will be like throwing up and peeing himself. Like Justin Fields is running around in circles and closing his eyes and throwing bombs. Pickett's just crumbling up, like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Pickett's in the armadillo, just peeing in his own mouth, and just like, I don't know, this is horrible. I think, Cleveland's fascinating automatically for me for that reason, and it will be, if he's the starter, I will have 17 hate watches scheduled to watch the Browns every week.
Like every Tuesday morning, I gotta see the film of this.
Yep.
I was doing that with Anthony Richardson. Like, I gotta see, because I would see like he was 10 of like 34.
Yes,
but for like 200 yards because two of the
That was my
people.
favorite. One of my legitimately no bullshit. One of my favorite parts of like because I didn't watch every Colts game by any means, but like when the Steelers are on CBS or whatever games on CBS that you have on one of the TVs, you just like catch a glimpse of the tickers. Like Anthony Richardson's 8 of 40 for 900 yards. What the hell's happening over there?
Right. And then they'll show the highlight. The highlight is this bomb for the ages.
It's the greatest throw you've ever seen in your life. And then 2 drives later, he throws a pass like it's intended for the other team's safety. And you're like, oh my God, what's happening? This is fascinating.
Tuesday morning, I'd load it up. And I'm not one of these guys who's like, well, I'm going to talk about the quarterback's decision-making process.
Right.
I'd watch Pittman running the drag, like the double mesh.
Yeah.
And like be wide open on this very simple check down throw. And the throw would go 80 yards over the head of like Downs or somebody over here. And the Pittman body language would be like,
yeah, Pittman's like, he's got a catch for 13 yards in the bag. And instead, Anthony Richardson's going to be like, actually, Alec Pierce is down there with 4 guys around him, but I think I can get it to him.
Right. And I'm going to throw it in the first round of the stands. And you'd like just watch the body language of these guys. I was like, I know. I mean, he got cut because, he got benched because he's like, I need a break.
Yeah.
But like maybe he could have survived that if the entire receiver core is like, we're open.
Do you think that Daniel Jones takes over as the starter for them this year?
It's the Colts. They're their brain will explode with this decision. This is not a team that can rationally pick a quarterback.
I say this earnestly. How does Chris Ballard still have a job?
Because Irsay is like high most of the time.
I guess so.
You give me enough freaking gummies and surround me with George Harrison's old guitars. I won't care if Anthony Richardson throwing the ball into the stands. Chris Ballard comes back and I took care of it. Like, cool, you took care of it.
Good.
I'm gonna watch.
Hey, you have any cool DVDs? Like,
I'm gonna watch Holy Grail for the 55th time.
Yeah, I'm just gonna binge all the Monty Python movies and see how that treats me.
Right. He's got like the German exports of like the translated seasons and things like that. Yeah. So right.
That's fascinating to me though. Like to see. I mean, they just gave Daniel Jones $14 million for a year. I can't imagine that he'll be on the bench the entire time.
He will not be on the bench the entire year. But like the messaging and the expectations within the organization and everything, they do this very poorly.
Yeah.
Like they couldn't handle Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
When you're watching Matt Ryan get old and you can't figure out, well, how are we going to approach this? Let's bench him without telling him.
Oh, it's so bad. So bad.
Guys, I recommend while he is fading very quickly, you treat him with some dignity because you brought him in. You spent 6 months talking about what a leader he is. He is an older statesman of the league who deserves better than being treated like some rookie like Kenny Pickett getting benched.
Sure.
And they couldn't do that right. And then when that got messed up, they fired Reich, and they replaced him with one of basically the owner's stoner buddies, Jeff Saturday. I mean, come on.
I'll make the bold prediction that, and I wrote about this for USA Today when I went through. I predicted that they would sign Jones, so I'll give myself a little pat on the back for that.
Good.
But my thing was like Daniel Jones is your human measuring stick.
Yes.
If from OTAs to training camp, if you can't definitively say that Richardson is better than Jones, then he's not your guy. And at that point, if you want to explore trading him, then do it.
Yep.
Send him to, a quarterback needy team who wants to take a flyer on him.
Yep.
Like as a Steelers fan, if you gave me the option of Anthony Richardson for a year on his rookie contract or Aaron Rodgers, I know which one I'd choose. And it would be Richardson.
Bombs to George Pickens.
Yeah, I know he'll chuck it and at least give it. If they're going to be mediocre, at least be exciting and mediocre. Right. So,
and he can run the Cam Newton off tackle play.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that is it makes sense from that standpoint. I think from Shane Steichen too. Like I think he'll look at Daniel Jones and he'll be like, all right, well, if I really squint, he kind of looks like Jalen Hurts, a little bit lighter, but I can make this work.
Were you at the podiums when Jackson Dart compared himself to Jalen Hurts?
Was that during the Senior Bowl or is that during the combine?
That was during this thing, the combine.
Okay, no, I was not at his podium when he said that, but that's silly.
Yeah, I was like afterwards, like all the other reporters. Did he just say that? Are we hungover? Are we hallucinating? Yeah, I mean, Jackson Dart, no, not Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, no, I remember at the Senior Bowl, he like gave like the three quarterbacks he models himself after, and I think it was Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, and Baker Mayfield were his like three.
Nice random assortment.
Nice random. By the way, that's a perfect encapsulation of Jackson Dart. A random assortment of just stuff.
Right.
I love it. All right, my friend, what do you got coming on to Deep Zone that everybody should go check out?
Okay, well, next week I'm going to do the free agent roundup. It's going to be free agent grades. Everyone tried their best.
Yeah.
And then, like, and I do have a couple things. One is I'm going to be doing the all-time top 5 quarterbacks. That's coming back. I have 4 teams left to do, which is exciting because that series is exciting. But the Cardinals are up.
So lovely. That sounds exciting.
But
who the hell would be on? I feel like I know who their top one would be. That feels like kind of a write-in.
Is it Kurt Warner?
Yeah, it's Kurt Warner. Yeah.
It is not their number 1, according to my appraisal of things.
Oh, goodness. All right. Well, I can't wait to read that then. That's going to be exciting. All right. Good stuff.
He's number 2.
Okay. Right. Good stuff. And
but what about you? What's going on with you?
Well, we're putting together the top 30 quarterback of the Super Bowl era panel. That's officially started. So, and Mike is on that panel.
Totally didn't forget about it. working hard.
So we're getting everything tabulated in and sent to me where I, do all the calculations to get it done. That's going to come out probably in May. So nice. Very early framework of that. And then I'll be doing, like I said, a piece on the 49ers, just my thoughts on that whole situation. A nice little appraisal piece for the Vikings. And then I'm going to try to be putting together some prospect feature stories ahead of the draft, like I do every year. I've done ones on Puka Nacua, Tajay Spears, did one on Jamari Thrash last year. So some nice little prospect pieces ahead of the draft is going to be the next agenda because the draft is about a month and a half away at this point. So
it is a long way away. And if you can find any time to take a break, or at the very least, burn some of your less good material. Remember, next week is the NCAA tournament.
Yes.
And most fans in the world stop really paying attention to free agency. Mm-hmm. And the bigger outlets can't really promote all the football when they're trying to promote the basketball. So I go a little quiet for a little time there. Bleacher Report taught me that. Mm-hmm. So, but no rest for the wicked. I know you can't really go quiet, but you can.
No rest for the wicked. I'm a content machine at this point. But we're gonna catch some rays. We're gonna go for a little walk later, and it'll be good. Nice evening walk. The sun's not setting till 7:15 right now. Oh, it's great.
Beautiful. It's great. Daylight savings is our friend. Yes,
it is. So thanks for everybody for tuning in. If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to subscribe, leave a comment, do all that fun YouTube stuff. If you're listening as a podcast, leave a review. We'll be back next week. Talk more on the free agency frenzy, any big moves that take place, and you can join us right here on the Pump Fake. Take care.